conscripted to the army of God in this end time season for the work that's ahead of us. I'm sure without thinking too much, if you have any sense of mission at all, you would wonder why it is that things just don't seem to work in this country. People don't stay where they're supposed to be. I come in here, I came by train. There's a train service between Kaduna and Abuja now. When that thing was launched, you know, people hailed it was going to be a service that people will enjoy. But if you have had to go by that train recently, you will find that it is no longer what it's supposed to be. And that is something that was taken as a loan from China. We have not even started repaying, and yet people have started pocketing the money from the tickets. So when you go now, they'll tell you, oh, the tickets are finished, but we have the ones for standing. So you buy a ticket, and the train that is meant for you to sit comfortably and everything, you see people like this standing in the train. They say, well, it's just 2 hours. Why do we have such mindsets? ICCC will give you an insight. He spoke about church. ICCC is not being church. Church, for me, just excuse my expression, is a recharge point. You come to church and recharge, like you recharge your phone. Then you go out there and work it out, spend the energy, and then come back again and recharge. Then go back there and spend it. So that it becomes clear to people when they contact you. They say that there is something different about this one. Yeah, we're all in the office here, but this one, or they will say of you, that we don't take it near that brother. The man is a pastor. You know, I have had this said of people. But slowly, hopefully, this body, ICCC, has gone into the world. I think we are present now in over 80 countries. And quietly, but ever so surely, we are being led by the Spirit of God to infiltrate into the societies of the nations, to disciple the nations, so that their thinking will now be in line with the kingdom. ICCC is about. So, without taking any further time, we'll ask those of you who may have questions at all to ask, to do so quickly before we take up the next very important thing, based on what we have just said now. You can understand why this is important. Does anybody have any questions at all? Very good. There's nobody with a question. That means we all understand what we are saying. Very good. So at this point, permit me now to introduce to you is none other than a very dear brother, someone I've had the privilege of interacting with for very many years now. He serves on the international board of this body, ICCC, and he happens to be a Nigerian. And he's here among us today. And who better to be the one to place this conference that we're going to hold tomorrow, before the Lord. So please help me to welcome our brother Israel and Israel. Thank you. Well, so he is going to dedicate the conference so that what happens tomorrow will be strictly out of the heart of the Lord. It will be not about any man's agenda. We're not here to entertain anybody. But when he said, you guys are just talking, you're not introducing yourselves. That's the last consideration. I mean, the important thing here is that you are available to be of use in the hand of the Lord. Hallelujah. You're welcome, my brother.
Thank you. I'd like to, thank God firstly that I'm able to be here. Because I get to be busy as many people, but this year has been on another pedestal. So I'm grateful to God for His faithfulness and strength. Last week, I have almost traveled every day and waking up 4 a.m. in the morning to catch one flight another. No complaints. You sign up to the assignment as part of the deal. But just so I know who is here, let me just get to know how many of you are in any kind of ICCC meeting for the first time. Just your hand up. Okay? So, all right, this is good. That we have many people. How many of you are residents in Abuja and environs? Just so I know. Okay. All right. So it's basically majority. So how many of us are outside Abuja? I think I can see a few. So we are in the minority. Okay. Well, for me, I can't. When I talked last week, I was here in Abuja in another prayer conference, Intercessors for Nigeria, that I have the privilege of being part of. It doesn't leave you that you are Nigerian and the reality. I mean, he just stood up and just gives you. If each one of us was asked to say something about Nigeria, I don't know what you see. I don't know what you see. I don't know what it means. Just as a background, our last daughter graduated in the US. We had promised her she had committed us to come for her graduation. So even though I've been traveling a lot, we had to go. During the graduation, this was Texas A&M, she did a master's in public health. The president of the college told all the graduates, he said, you have received one of the best educations you can get. I hope you remember to go back to society and make a change. Because he had reeled out what earlier graduates have done. Incredible things in various fields of endeavor, in industry, in governance, in education itself. He basically says, go and make use of everything you have learned here and make the world a better place. So our daughter had arranged for like a reception for her friends, mainly Nigerians. So we retired to where this reception was holding, and then I had to give like a vote of thanks. People were making comments. So in my vote of thanks, I thanked everybody that came to celebrate with us. Then I said to them, I can see most of you here are Nigerians. I said, please, I hope you hear my heart that you should factor in coming back to fix the mess. I could hear a silence. I couldn't get an amen and all that. And I knew I wasn't expecting, because I've had discussions with my own daughter. But honestly, I said to them, you know, part of our dilemma is that we have people who don't know what to do, just don't have the capacity. And this is really, when you think our problem is corruption. Yes, corruption is there. But really, to a large extent, I believe part of our major problem is people, and at various levels, I'm talking about various levels, who don't have the capacity to deliver on what they're supposed to do. When you have this kind of situation, then is a national crisis. And you're not going to fix it in a hurry. Prayer will not fix it. With due apologies, I am from that background. Prayer will not fix it. So when I was telling this generation, I personally believe in the rebirth of Nigeria, that the diaspora hold a great key, because they have seen how things work. Seen how things work. The average person then knows what, and there's still deviant behaviors in the human heart, if given opportunity, will be deviant if it's not, that heart is not reconditioned, renewed. But they have capacity, they have seen systems built, and they run. You go to Europe, the tube runs as if it's on clock. But it's human beings that build systems that makes it work. And he's just lamenting here that our own, we have hardly started it, and the human beings are just destroying it. So what is this? So to the rescue of all of this is God's purpose. Tomorrow, when I talk about the purpose of ICC, I will put it then in context of Nigeria, because everybody hearing me needs to answer, what does this really mean to me? By the way, I need to advertise a book right now that I think. Please just give me my bag here. I have a book by Ed Silvoso. Ed Silvoso, any of you who's been a Christian a while, he's written a number of books, Prayer Evangelism, Anointed for Business, That None Should Perish. So I heard him sometime, either towards the end of last year, I heard him being interviewed on, I think Lance One or another person I follow, being interviewed. And he was discussing the question of why the church is not really as effective. So let me bring in context. Bear, follow me. I'll be short. I'm not preaching. I'm just sharing my heart.
That's right.
So I told you the dilemma we find in Nigeria and the fact that, to a large extent, part of the problem is that people don't have capacity at them, are in various places, and therefore can't deliver. So where is hope from? Where's hope going to come from? In reality, you cannot give what you don't have. This is a natural law. You try as much as you cannot give what you don't have. I have come to the painful but maybe real painful conclusion that the hope is in God's people. It is God's people that heaven itself, God itself, is depending upon. This is why many times I stop complaining about politicians. This is the best you can have, sadly, from my own context. I have responsibility for Africa, so I can look at Africa and tell you some places that I guess they're doing better. They're doing better than not so. It's not a matter of black people, you can't do anything. God forbid that this becomes our, the mantra. As a black person, they can't do anything. A few days ago, and the world is rushing to Ghana. Because they have tried to say, we passed through something, our history is bad, but let's fix it. And you have at the highest level a man, when you hear him speak, he motivates you that let's fix this. So what's my point? Ed Silvoso then begins to answer the question, why is the church not really delivering on her mandate? And I can tell you this as one who has been a believer a little while in the country. I got born again by the grace of God in 1972. I've been involved with also some movements, organizations that God has used for various things. But today, this is my own analysis and summary. We are not delivering on the mandate. This is scorecard, my own scorecard. I'm part of that church. I'm not sitting outside and accusing. No. So let me give you something that should kind of shake you up. When I'm in the country, I live in 2 cities, but let's consider I still spend time in Lagos, but I spend time a lot in Uyo. The crisis that we've had in the nation, somebody said, don't call it farmer header crisis. That's really not. You're just trying to dignify it. It is something else. I don't want to go into that policy. The killings that you had happening in the north, Middle Belt, has now gradually come into the south. The southwest, I must give to them. People who come from the southwest are very, maybe both historically, they are very politically active. They don't. So suddenly the killings, kidnapping started happening in the southwest, and they said, no, we can't sit down and wait, and maybe the things that happened in the Middle Belt happened to us, we can. So various stakeholders began to talk. The governors came together to discuss the matter to find a solution. Traditional rulers came together. Socio-cultural organizations like the OPC came together. They even have gone as far as saying, Agbekoya helped us fight battles by sorcery. Let's go bring them. One morning, I don't know whether it's morning, I said to my wife, something just hit me. I said, do you know there is a constituency nobody has mentioned? Or even a constituency that says to itself, we are relevant here, the church. Why is that? My submission, you are irrelevant. You have big cathedrals. You have big cathedrals. You gather people. In the Southwest, we gather millions. Oh yeah, easily. On a weekly basis, on that Lagos-Ibadan highway, if you add together the people that gather in camps and so on. So, our aggregate output, in fact, the people do not think that you have anything to contribute. So, even when there is a crisis, remember in the story of Jonah, that when there was a crisis, everyone called up this God. They came and saw this man sleeping. Wake this man up. Don't you? No, where do you belong? Don't you have a God? Call your own now. Maybe it will rescue us. Ed Silvoso begins to answer that. He says, I'm not critical because I've been a pastor my 30 years. So I'm not criticizing. But I'm saying something is fundamentally missing. And what is missing, he says, if you go and check what Jesus said he will build. Matthew 16. I will build my church. The Greek word for that church is ecclesia. It wasn't at all referring to a religious organization. Ecclesia, as used there, the Greek word is a governing assembly. People who are in a territory gather together with one code, one thing binding them, and then can legislate and determine what happens. Could almost say, wow. No wonder we're running something else. It is therefore not useful. This is where I believe a body like ICCC and as many of us that God is giving us light and understanding must arise. So when you get transform walking life, it is to change your mind. The mind is very important. The spirit is important, but my friend, your mind. That's why God gave us a mind. He didn't only give us a spirit. Everything, not spirit. Your mind is important. So my prayer and really cry to God. So my generation who have been praying, it just hit me that some of us have been praying for Nigeria for 40 years. And I'm saying, Lord, and we've heard many things. There will be a new Nigeria. I believe that. It's prophecy. It will happen. But you almost begin to ask yourself, thank you for somebody who is saying amen. Because somehow you can live in this that, can it ever happen? Will there be a new? Where will it happen from? Who will build the car? But it's word of prophecy. It will happen. However, what you want to ask is, with which generation? Because God said, He's given us enough indication there will be a new Nigeria. If there is a generation that wants to die in the wilderness, God does not live in time. You will die in the wilderness. The small children, like I'm seeing one at the door. You know, when He was taking the people into the promised land, they get to a place and the people said, God, this thing you are saying is too difficult. God said, really? Really? It's me who have said I will do it. They said, no, we can't do. Supervise their burial in the wilderness. And then, this, when Joshua them are crossing, God reminds them and said, I said it. And I brought you there because I'm God and not man. My point. There is a desperation, and usually I like to look at young people and say to them, the future belongs to you. It's my understanding there is a group of Nigerians, they are wasted generation, they will just keep that thing we can. They are sold themselves to want to even, I don't know. I'm not saying God's grace is not there. I pray that many of them can come to know the Lord to attain their soul. But in terms of fixing the mess, this is the same thing I said to the young people in the US. I said, this mess has been created for you. You got to think differently to be able to come and fix it. Let me finish by just reading a scripture and then we just pray and dedicate our time to the Lord. This is a scripture that I've been living with lately. It's Acts of the Apostles chapter 7. Stephen is making a recount giving a history of what happened with Israel in their journey to nationhood. 7, read just I think 3 or 4 verses from verse 17 to verse 20. Says this, but when the time of the promise drew near which God had sworn to Abraham, the people grew and multiplied in Egypt, till another king arose who did not know Joseph. This man dealt treacherously with our people and oppressed our forefathers, making them expose their babies so that they might not live. Verse 20. At this time Moses was born and was well pleasing to God, and he was brought up in his father's house for 3 months. Let me just stop the reading there. So we're meeting this conference, this Renaissance conference in September 2019. Is not just happening by accident that we're meeting at this time. I personally, this is my conviction, in my own little understanding of where we are. We're meeting at a critical time. I actually believe we are right now, and this is not just a Nigerian dispensational discussion, but in terms of what God is doing on the earth, we are at an appointed time. If you look at Habakkuk chapter 2, the guy, he said, I'll stand on my watch and see what God will say. And then he is told, he said, wait, for the vision is for an appointed time. He says, do it tarry, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not tarry. Will a new Nigeria be born? Yes. No doubt. A new Nigeria is not only necessary for our benefit. So you live in a peaceful country, functional. As much as that is necessary. A new Nigeria is necessary so that that Nigeria fulfills what God has said. Amen. And some of us have had more than enough prophecy that some are unimaginable that God said about Nigeria. I came to the conclusion that the Nigeria that will fulfill what God said is not this one we are seeing. Yes. I think we are, even the way we are structured is wrong. We're living a lie. We don't want to, we don't want to address certain issues at all. No, you can't build something on lies and falsehood. It will collapse. It's a basic law. Anyway, however, we have come into an appointed time. So he says, when the time of the promise that God swore to Abraham, if I flash your mind, what is this promise that God made to Abraham? If you look at Genesis 15, Abraham is actually